Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of my show. Riley again, and today we'll be making a delicious pork chop and a fresh applesauce. It's kind of like a take on when you were a kid. You'd always have those pork chops with canned applesauce. This is a more grown-up version, I guess you could say, with a maple Dijon marinade, and we're going to be searing those, throwing them in the oven, making a fresh applesauce. So come on in close and we'll show you what you need. Okay guys, for our pork chops, we're going to need, of course, pork chops. This is some thick cut boneless loin chops. That's what I got here. A few apples, some olive oil, some Dijon mustard, some maple syrup. This is real maple syrup, some cider vinegar, and some brown sugar. So come on in close and we'll get started on our marinade. Okay guys, we're going to get started on our marinade, and this is an approximate recipe. So just going to kind of eyeball it. We're going to do a few spoons of Dijon mustard. Always use a nice Dijon for this. This is a good recipe and you want to use a nice Dijon. Don't use one of those like generic yellow mustard. Don't use that. Oops, sorry about that guys. That's a little blooper, I guess. Let's make it about 4 spoonfuls. So you just want to add your Dijon. Good Dijon mustard. Any good Dijon. You can use honey Dijon. So any kind of Dijon that you like. So there's our Dijon mustard. Get that in there. We're also going to add in a few spoons of maple syrup. Just to cut against that bite of the Dijon. And I just think mustard and pork go very well together. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. It's good. About equal parts, Dijon and maple. And now we're just going to take some of our beautiful cider vinegar. Sorry, just get that spoon out of the way. Take some of our beautiful cider vinegar. Do like about a teaspoon of that. And we're just going to whisk this up. Give it a quick whisk. That is a beautiful smell, guys. Just smells sweet and savory at the same time. So now we're going to want to make an emulsion with our olive oil. So you just want to put a little, sorry about this, I'm going to have to start whisking and drop in a little bit. Drop in a little more. Drop in a little bit more. Also a little bit more. You're always going to want to keep whisking with this or else you could break your marinade. Which means like it'll split, it'll separate the oil and the mustard. Pour the rest in there. That's about a 1/4 cup of olive oil. That's a good amount. So next we're going to add our pork, and we'll come back when we're about to do that. Okay guys, so here's our beautiful marinade that we just whipped up. So we're going to add in our loin chops, or whatever chop you prefer. It's just again a boneless loin chop. These are very thick cut. Let's chuck all our chops in there. We have about 8 in here total. And then you're just going to want to toss it with the marinade. Make sure all your chops get coated. So come back when we're done with that. Okay guys, our chops are coated in that beautiful marinade. So now we're going to take some cling film or plastic wrap, wherever you call it, where you live. We'll coat our bowl with that. Cutting that from 2 sides since it's a large bowl. Just go one side, move this over. Go to the other side. Just want to make sure it's all sealed. Sorry about that part. My hand probably got in the way of the shot. Slice that down. Get that out of the way. And there it's nice and covered. You can marinate these anywhere from half an hour to 2 hours, however much time you've got in your hands. You can even go 3 hours if you want a really intense Dijon flavor. So we're going to throw these bad boys in the fridge and we'll come back when we're ready to cook them. Okay guys, our chops are almost done marinating, so I'm going to get started on our apples. You're just going to cut it, just like that. Do the same to the other side. I'm just going to do one apple because I'm only going to cook one chop for demonstration purposes. So you just want to cut it like this. Make sure you don't use the core. Nothing but gross things in there. Then you're going to want to cut it into like chunks, about 1/2 inch chunks. So we'll start with the strips. It's about 1/2 inch, maybe a little more. I'll cut it into chunks just like this. This is for our delicious, warm, fresh applesauce. Cut that again. Just move the stuff that's already cut out of the way and the garbage out of the way. So the core, cut it into chunks again. And you can repeat this process with how many apples you're going to use, depending on how many chops you have. You always are going to want to hold your knife like this. You're going to want to wrap your 3 fingers around the handle and pinch the blade. Gives you the most control out of any way. A lot of people hold it like this, not enough control. A lot of people hold it like this, also not enough control. Always hold your knife like this. That'll give you the best control for the best slice. So we'll come back when our pork chops are ready to be cooked and our apples are ready to be cooked as well. Okay guys, to get started on our fresh applesauce, we're going to start by throwing a little bit of butter into a saucepan. Okay, now that our butter is all melted, we're going to throw in our apples. We're going to give those a quick saute. Okay guys, now that those are sauteed, we're going to add in some brown sugar. It's probably about a tablespoon or so. Just eyeball it, just need a little bit. And that's going to really help with the caramelization. And we're also going to season some fresh cracked pepper and some kosher or coarse salt. So give that a nice little toss. You can do it like this, just toss it around, kind of like that. Or you can use a utensil. This isn't a non-stick pan, so I don't really mind using a metal utensil for this. Might need to add a little bit more brown sugar, so we'll do that. You just want this to be a nice caramelized candied apple pretty much, just for some sweetness on our pork chops. So yeah, you just want it to look like that. We'll reduce it to low, and we'll cook those down for about 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes until they're fork tender and nice and caramelized. But before we do that, before I reduce it, I'm just going to add a little bit more of our beautiful cider vinegar. Good. Give that a quick little toss, and we'll turn that heat down to low, medium low, and we'll let that reduce. Okay guys, to get started on our pork chops, we're just going to take a little bit of butter and throw it in the pan, and when that gets melted we'll come back. As you can see guys, I've added a bit more butter and spread it around the pan. So now we're going to add in our marinated chop. This is what it looks like. Looks very delicious. So we're just going to take a fork, toss that bad boy in there. Just going to let that pan heat up, and we're going to let it sear on high heat just to get a crust formed on the outside. So we'll come back when we're about ready to flip, and I'll tell you how long it was. Okay guys, our pork chop's ready to flip. And I know that looks burnt, but that is the caramelization from the maple syrup. It'll just be all good. Don't worry about it. The sugars in the maple syrup burn very fast. You just want to reduce the heat after you sear it. Gotta sear the other side. Oh, that was about 3 or 4 minutes on a medium-high heat. And every so often, you're just going to want to tilt the pan, get some of its juices, and just baste it in its own juices. Just want this to be a nice, juicy pork chop. Again, don't worry about that little burning around the edges. That's just the caramelization from the maple syrup. Sugars burn really fast, so don't have to worry about it. It's still going to taste delicious. We'll come back when we're ready to throw this chop in the oven. Okay guys, so the other side's been seared, just like that, and you're going to want to throw this in a pre-400 degree oven. It's going to sear the sides as well. Might as well get that extra color. So you're going to want to throw it in a preheated 400 degree oven for about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on the thickness of your chop. I'm probably going to have to do 10 because this is, you can see, a ridiculously thick chop. So I'm just going to rub it around with juices and transfer it to a sheet pan and cook that off. We'll come back when it's ready to eat. Okay guys, it's time to plate this dish. So we're going to first start with our beautiful apples. And the pork is done. I've let it rest for about 5 minutes. Keep some of the juices in. Start with our beautiful apples. Lay down a nice salad of that. That looks good. Next we're going to take our pork, nice marinated pork chop, place that on top, just like that. And that looks about good. That's all we really need to do pretty much. Just move this out of the way and we'll come take a taste. Okay guys, so let's cut into this pork. That's a beautiful, beautiful crust on the outside. Oops, sorry, my fork's kind of getting in the way here. Just rip that out. Oh man, look at that. Beautifully cooked. Look at how juicy that is. So we'll just take our fork out of here if we can get it out. We'll dip this in some of our apples. With our fresh applesauce, and I'll take a bite. Oh my goodness. That flavor is just amazing. Wow. That has such great flavor. The apples and the pork work so well together. Pork's been there for 10 minutes and it's like dripping with juice. Like, look at that. That is a beautiful dish, guys. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. It's really a good thing. So if you guys like my videos, please subscribe, and you can check out my Twitter. It's twitter.com/cookwith_Riley6. And thanks for watching, guys. If you like my videos, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Cooking with Riley, out.